We need to talk about the Mercedes C350E and how it went from looking like this to looking like this to looking like this and then back to looking like this. Let's talk about some of the challenges we've had with the car since we last did a video on it, and some news which you may not be expecting. So what's gone wrong with it? Well, I'm pleased to say nothing mechanically, not even the original 12-volt battery's gone wrong in this car, and it's still on the original at 8 years old, which is quite rare for these. My mechanic that I used told me, well, if there's nothing wrong with it and it's not popping an error, don't worry about it. Only worry about it and get it swapped out, because they're a bit of a fiddle to do when that 12-volt battery error does pop up. Also, the auxiliary batteries are known to go in these, and that's been okay as well. So if the car's been okay mechanically, what's been the problem then? So I'd always had a crack in the windscreen. Not so much a crack, but a chip. Little chips like that form into a crack eventually expand. I booked it in, had to book it in, so it had to go and be dropped off for a new windscreen at Guildford. Pretty inconvenient really. The insurance paid for it. It's a non-OEM windscreen, which means you lose the nice Mercedes-Benz signature that is written on the sort of bottom right corner with an OEM windscreen. First of all, could not calibrate the ADAS system, so they fitted the windscreen and then said to me, you can't use any of the safety stuff.
Hi, it's from Autoglass. We fitted the windscreen in your vehicle, but there is an issue with the calibration of the lane change cameras. The software we're using doesn't seem to be working. My office needs to have a look into it, and then we might need to get you back in to do a remote over-the-air calibration. We say don't rely on any of the safety systems, lane deviation, etc.
It was due to then be booked in a week later, and I said, well, leave it there and you just keep it and then keep that booking a week later. Miraculously, obviously, then considering the inconvenience of having a car hanging around that they didn't need or want, presumably, the next day I got a phone call and then suddenly said, hey, your car's ready, we've managed to calibrate the ADAS. So it seemed like they tried a bit harder, or maybe they just did it outside of the whole appointment. Less than a week later, Stone flew at my windscreen, a stone, hit it at the bottom, didn't think anything of it, didn't pay or take any notice. Anyway, a few days went by and magically, guess what happened? A little crack started to appear at the bottom of the windscreen. Brand new windscreen, little crack, less than a week old. So had to get another new windscreen fitted. Settled on again another non-OEM. So literally within like 9 weeks, I think it was a 9-week gap of getting the first windscreen fitted, had another windscreen fitted. Great. So let's talk about those wheels then. And some news that may surprise people who've subscribed to this channel specifically for Mercedes C350E content, so stay tuned for that. What happened with the wheels? My wheels were gold.
I love gold!
There's another video on the channel for that. God knows what I was thinking. Moment of total madness.
Flashback.
Certainly interesting, isn't it? I refurbed the original ones that were on the car. They were diamond cut originally as well. Powder coated them in gold. I just wanted something different. I was bored. Had hoped they were actually supposed to be on the colour chart was more of a bronze. They came back and they were bright gold. The gold wheels, powder coated gold wheels, were starting to show a bit of wear and tear. They were peeling a little bit. They looked a bit tatty. I just was over the whole gold wheel thing. A lot of people took the mick, and completely justifiably so. Wanted to get rid of them. Started to look at aftermarket wheels. Found some on a website. I'll put a picture up because I can't remember the name of it. Found some AMG replica wheels, I suppose, same size, 18-inch, staggered because they're wider at the back on this car. Though I checked with a AI companion that the existing tyres that I had, because they were fairly new tyres, would fit on those new wheels, and the AI said yes they would. And I'd sort of missed the point that the AI mentioned about the rims being a slight bit wider, and it said no, that'll be okay, your existing tyres will fit. Got someone out to fit the existing tyres, took the gold wheels off and put them on the new AMG replica wheels and thought that would look really neat and cool. They went on, you could tell that the tyre was stretched. You could just see it. It looked like that kind of boy racer stretch, and the guy that did it for me went, oh, sometimes people go for that kind of look. And I was like, some people might go for that look, and that's okay. I'm not one of those people. And straight away, the car drove differently, because obviously the tyres, the wall of the tyre had been stretched, and it impacted the quality of the ride. I don't want to say significantly, but a lot. It felt a bit less smooth. I don't want to say juddery. It wasn't juddery, but it just wasn't smooth. It felt like you were being held back when you were driving it. It didn't seem to drive it didn't seem to flow as well as it should. Now this car is a hybrid. It's a plug-in hybrid. When you take your foot off the gas, it's using regeneration, all that business to charge the battery. So rolling resistance is a real key factor in this car, especially when it comes to getting decent MPG. What I ended up doing was taking the gold wheels back into a refurbishment place, refurbishing them in gloss black, getting the guy out again who had swapped them over with the AMG replicas. It was a shame because the AMG replicas looked sweet as, they looked really cool, and put back on the original wheels, but this time in black, and that's where we are today. And I sold the new old rims that I bought, which I didn't get obviously what I paid for them, which is a bit of a pain. There you go. So what's next for this Mercedes? This car, as a family car, we've had it 4 years. You don't own a car 4 years as a family, going on different trips to different places. We took this car all the way to the south of France and back last year, and it didn't miss a beat. It was amazing. You don't do that as a family and not become a little bit attached to it. And having had it for 4 years, yeah, that attachment is quite real. It's really the only car our little dog has ever known. Well, there's a reason that there is a black Alfa Romeo just in shot in the corner down there. Well, let's give a little brief potted history of the channel. We had this Mercedes, we've had it for a while. I also had an Evora and a 205 GTI, a Lotus Evora and a 205 GTI. I sold them both to fund my son's karting career. I did have some money left over. I went for a Mini Cooper S, the 3rd gen version. There's a couple of videos on the channel about that. Thinking that would be a nice sort of bridgy, halfway house driver's car, fill my need, but it didn't really do the job. And so it didn't last very long, and sold it pretty shortly after getting it. Consequently, I'd always hankered after one of these. I think you can see where this is going. And even though the Alfa lives in the garage and is a bit of a pain to get in and out, I find myself using the Alfa more than the Mercedes, and it's just been sort of sat here gathering dust. Which is a real shame, because it's one of the cars that I've owned the longest in the whole of my life. The first one being the 944 S2 in the early 2000s, had that for just over 4 years. This is coming up to 4 years, so this is going to beat it. It's got an amazing spec, which has meant there's been no reason to change it. I love all of the tech on it, despite it being like 9 years old now. You're hard pushed to find a car with the equivalent sort of specification that you get on this, even in modern sort of plug-in hybrids. All those extras like the bird's eye camera, the full panoramic roof, all of the electric memory seats, all of those optional extra bits and pieces, they're really hard to find on a car that offers such value for money. And consequently, with the practicality of an estate as well, it's part of the reason why we've kept it. A lot of people moan about PHEVs, but I quite like the versatility of them. The type of driving we do in this car is a mix of commuting long distances or doing long journeys, or it's short journeys around and about, in which case you run it on electric. So although the electric only range is not that decent, it's enough and it's cheap enough to run. It also was zero tax for a while. It's now still only £20 a year to tax. And if you're buying a new EV and things like that, again, that all adds into the cost. So I still think the Mercedes C350E is a great car, but the one box it didn't tick, which the Alfa does, is that driving dynamics, and that's what I really like as an enthusiast, I suppose. So the future of the Mercedes, somewhat uncertain. There's talk or desire to go beyond the Veloce, this is a 2-litre turbo Giulia, and go full Quadrifoglio, but that would mean having to part with this, part with that, and also part with the 997 Gen 2, which I part own with a member of my family. See the other videos on my channel about that. So there you go, a quick update. We'll see what happens. The Mercedes C350E is here for now. Deserves a clean. Let's sort that out. End this video on a high with this car, for the moment, we do still love.